Hello and welcome to Patrick's Models and Transport. So this evening we're going to have a look at an update on my French Parisian suburban train of the turn of the century, between the Belle Epoque, between the beautiful period between the end of the 1880s more or less until 1914. And in 1914 we all know that things went a bit haywire. So here we have the Paris suburban train of the banlieue lines, or the Petit Ceinture, meaning the small belt. Banlieue means suburbs in French. Hauled by a O30T of État lines, of the state lines, also known as Boer, and I'll put the link in the description box to my review of the O30T Boer locomotives. But anyway, the name Boer, which I have pronounced in French and with a French accentation, it's actually Boer, from the Boer War. So because when these locomotives entered service, the Boer War was raging, and let's say that the French public had rather a lot of sympathy for the Boers, not for the British, because they saw them as the big British Empire attacking the Boer Transvaal Republic and so on. I hope I'm getting my history right now. And of course the French were public being of Republican sentiments, they took the sympathy for the Boers. So that's the spot of history, of European and world history, of the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. So these locomotives, despite the fact that they'd been nicknamed Boer or Boer, in obvious antagonism towards the British Empire, were actually very British in design. In fact, we can see it's a classic internal cylinder 060 tank engine, and they were also nicknamed my French is not very good, Le Petit Anglais de Paris, meaning the little English women of Paris. I hope I translated that correctly, because from a design point of view they were very British locomotive. Of course, very often on the European continent people don't distinguish between British and English, but we know that there is a very important distinction. I'm actually repeating the same things I said in another video. I'm beginning to be repetitive. Anyway, going back to the nickname Boer, the Boers, they were tough little locomotives, very powerful. I can't remember all the technical details, but really powerful for their weight and size. And so they could haul these very long suburban trains. Here we see a suburban train formed by first class, second class, single deck carriage, and then a rake of 4 second class double-decker carriages. These remained in service until the 1930s. Yes, they were dangerous. People, in fact, eventually they were taken out of service because too many people were falling off, and a luggage and brake van. And why am I making this integration video? Because I've not long got the first and second class carriage at the front, because in the composition of these trains, usually there were a couple, 1 or 2 single deck carriages behind the locomotive, then the double deck carriages, then maybe another couple of single deck carriages at the back, and then the brake van. So to make it absolutely complete, I have to get another single deck carriage. I'll have to keep my eyes open. Anyway, so let's let the locomotive speak and watch it go round. The locomotive is a Jouef, of course. This is one I got a super bargain, practically brand new. I only had to give the motor a good, had to clean out gunked up grease on the mechanism. These trains are really lovely, and the O30T Boer locomotives are, I think, among my favourites. I have that British touch. I don't know, they make me think of Ivor the engine, even if he's an 040, not an 060. should be filming in daytime. I keep doing things in electric light. I'll definitely do a little daytime running video of this locomotive. Carriages are all Jouef. This is a very nice runner, practically unused, very quiet, 5-pole motor, one-arm drive and gear. Traction tyres on the back, on the rear wheels. I'm going to stop here and give you a short tour of the train and see if we can get light down here so that we have more light. Okay, and oh, very well. So here we have our 060T 135 of the Pathe lines. Now these were originally west, and then west was taken over by Pathe, the state lines. Eventually these locomotives would be then become part of the SNCF, French National Railways, in 1938, and they remained in service at least until the 1950s or 1960s, if I don't remember badly. Then they were cascaded onto goods trains, shunting duties and so on. So here's the new carriage, and let me move some controllers out of the road. And this is the new one, and this carriage here is actually quite a recent Jouef production, and I was looking and having a look. I think this is immediately before the Hornby takeover, because the Hornby then moved all production to China. So this was when Jouef trains were still made in France. In fact, it says under here made in France. So this is after this is a period of the Lima ownership. And how can we recognize it's got these very modern wheels with realistic small flanges. So if I compare these wheels with, say, the flanges of, wait a minute, this must also be a Lima period one, because this actually has standard Lima wheels. But I'm going to show you the brake van. Let's just get the train to do its job. Excuse me. Okay, let's have a look at the brake van. The brake van, we can see it has standard Jouef wheels with big flanges, silver. Here instead, the center of the wheels are kind of brownish, rust colored, brass flanges, very good wheels. So, and another thing that tells this one apart from the earlier ones is that the window surrounds have been picked out in a kind of brass and wood, in wood frame color, and there are these brass. All the handles have been, all the handrails have all been picked out in brass. So apart from that, it's just the same. It's just the same carriage, the same big Jouef coupling hooks, etc. And these carriages are really small in real life. If you see a preserved one, both the single decks and the double decks are really small carriages. So if somebody says, no, but the size, sometimes I've seen people, maybe other YouTubers, and we've mentioning or presenting these carriages, and maybe initially having some doubts about their being so small, and saying, maybe they're not prototypical, maybe it's just, toy or so on. And I've always commented saying, no, they are really small. These are really small carriages. And if we look, we find real footage of these trains, and there is, and I'll find it and put it in the description box of this video. It's the same link that's also in the other video, which I'll also link in the description box. These carriages, these coaches are really short. So their dimensions in HO scale are prototypical. They're not, so if you do come across them and you want to get such a train, definitely advise you to pick them up. Because you can get them even relatively cheap. let's go forward. And now I just want to attract your attention to one of these double-decker carriages. I can't remember which one. This one here in the middle, this one. So this one here, I bought it for really very little money. I don't remember. Maybe a couple of euros I paid this one here. Why? It had the steps, but these rails were broken off. You can see the banister, the step banister and the railings were all broken off, and I rebuilt this with copper wire. You can see some copper shining through there. Then I painted it in matte black with Vallejo modeling glue, and I'll actually make a comparative video showing, and also of all the photographs of when I did this restoration job, which I'll assemble into a video, but I can do at least a comparative video to show you the differences between my reconstruction, which comes as a slightly more battered in service look, and a factory made one with the plastic railings and banisters. So I think that's enough for this video before the phone decides to say that it's had enough, and it's getting a bit late. Another lap of the layout and we'll call it a day. There we go. If you liked the video, you can give it a like, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell, and of course share the video. And we'll see you tomorrow with some more trains. And it's cheerio from me and cheerio from the French, the Parisian suburban train of the Belle Epoque, the beautiful period, the beautiful era. Hoping there will be really again a beautiful era, because when you hear the news and when you see what's going on, they're hard times, but that's a completely different story. Let's just think about trains. It's better. Cheerio, and see you next time.